Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and here's your detailed weather forecast update for Saturday the 11th of October 2025. Heaps of storms on the forecast, particularly through south central and even southeastern Queensland. We're looking at another thunderstorm outbreak through parts of southeastern Queensland, including for Brisbane from tomorrow. Plenty more thunderstorms to talk about as well through northern Queensland, the Northern Territory, and into Western Australia. It's just a very stormy couple of weeks ahead. If you are brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing, but let's get stuck straight into things for your Saturday morning forecast update into the southeast of Queensland. So yesterday we had some healthy thunderstorm activity exactly where it was forecast to occur around Charleville and Roma. We knew yesterday would provide us with some very isolated but still some strong thunderstorm activity, and it sure did exactly that. We've also had some good thunderstorms, or one good thunderstorm in particular around Grafton and Coffs Harbour last night. That one produced large hailstones up to about 5 centimetres in size, and considering the forecast for tonight is very, very similar, particularly around the Grafton and the Coffs Harbour area, albeit for some slightly more sporadic thunderstorm activity. Even less is expected tonight. We could be seeing some strong thunderstorms into the northeast of New South Wales, particularly around Grafton and Coffs Harbour. You can already see temperatures really beginning to climb around Coffs Harbour as well, 27 degrees already, and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning when this observation was taken. So it's going to be another warm one, and that's just perfect conditions for these thunderstorms to make the most of. We've got pretty much the exact same thunderstorm forecast in the atmosphere, just minus a little bit of the convective available potential energy from yesterday. So less thunderstorm activity is expected, but it should be somewhat as strong. Maybe the hailstones, if they do develop, is going to be a little bit smaller, but we're really talking nitty gritty. We'll be seeing a very similar forecast to yesterday, and if it does get above 30 degrees, we will likely see one or two strong thunderstorms or potentially supercells develop into the northeast of New South Wales. We'll also see some very scattered thunderstorm activity southwest of Warwick around Goondiwindi, Wollongara, and then out towards Thallin and Moree. And then we're going to see some more scattered thunderstorm activity developing from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon around Roma, Injune, Augathella, Tambo, Charleville, Yarraka, Outervale, and out towards Windora and Longreach. This thunderstorm activity is not expected to be anything too crazy. If anything, it's going to be quite reminiscent of yesterday, but again, a little bit of a dumbed down version. Think of yesterday as kind of the bigger brother to the outbreak that's going to occur today. The storms are going to be very similar in nature. They're going to be very similar in terms of where they're going to strike, but they're going to be a little bit smaller, a little bit weaker. They're just going to be on every single kind of metric about 20 or 30% smaller. We're not expecting anything as crazy as what we saw yesterday. Not that anything yesterday was particularly crazy or mind-bending, that's for sure, particularly for the month of October. We will still see a number of thunderstorms develop, and particularly around Injune, we'll be seeing some strong thunderstorms, and then towards the west of Charleville and Augathella and Tambo, we'll also likely see some good storms out in this part of Queensland as well. Like I said, nothing crazy is expected, but still we may be seeing some good thunderstorm activity between about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon out to about 5, 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. The chance of thunderstorms around Brisbane, the Gold Coast or Toowoomba, very minimal at this point in time. Into the Gold Coast hinterland, we may see 1 or 2 thunderstorms develop, and Boonah or Beaudesert may see a crack of lightning or something like that. It would be very, very minimal if something does develop there, but for Brisbane and the Gold Coast, we're not expecting anything at all throughout the course of tonight. And then tomorrow's going to be the interesting day. We've marked tomorrow's, a couple of days ago, we marked tomorrow as being a pretty big day for thunderstorms, and that is going to develop early on from the afternoon. Big thunderstorms are possible towards the northwest of Brisbane, particularly inland from the southern Sunshine Coast, so Gympie, Kingaroy, Goomery, and then out towards Chinchilla, Miles, and Taroom even, we may be seeing some strong thunderstorms in this part of Queensland. The convective forecast models haven't quite picked up what we're going to be seeing because they don't go out that far just yet, but we're likely to see plenty of convective bursts through here. It's going to be another warm day, mid-30s for this part of Queensland, and we're likely to see some very good convective development. We've got some high convective available potential energy values in this part of Queensland, just to the north of Brisbane, so we're talking inland from Maroochydore, Noosa, and Rainbow Beach on the Sunshine Coast. So like I said, Gympie, Kingaroy, those sort of locations is where the convective available potential energy is going to be at its highest, and I would not be surprised if we saw significant supercell activity in this part of Queensland. The convective available potential energy values are through the roof, and I mean, if we just get a sounding of this area here, it is a very good environment. We've got that mid-level dry slot, we've got great mid-level humidity going right up into the upper atmosphere, and it is a highly sheared environment as well. This is definitely a good sounding for severe thunderstorm activity, and it would also be a very good sounding for supercell activity as well. These thunderstorms will be mean. Think back to Thursday of not the week just gone, but the week before last in the northern parts of the Sunshine Coast. It's a very, very similar setup. except we will likely see a little bit more expansive in the way of storm activity. Good thunderstorm activity also possible further inland north of a line between Charleville and Roma, and then some very good thunderstorm activity expected northwest of Injune, southwest of Rolleston, and some good thunderstorms also possible around St George and Thallon, closer to the New South Wales and Queensland border. Thunderstorms also expected deep in towards north central New South Wales as well, and even into the northwest of the state, and locations such as Woolgate, Lightning Ridge, Burke, White Cliffs, Wilcannia, Tibooburra, also likely to see some significant thunderstorm activity throughout the course of tomorrow, albeit over in New South Wales it will be substantially weaker and a lot more kind of rain-based. We'll see these thunderstorms kind of have a few cracks of lightning here and there, but for the most part they will just be moderate rainfall. And then the main show happens. It's actually going to happen a lot later on in the night. Widespread thunderstorm activity expected to then move in towards southeast Queensland. It's going to develop a lot further west in towards western Queensland, but it's going to track and upscale throughout the day and into the evening into a large rainy mess of thunderstorms contracting towards the southeast of Queensland and impacting the Brisbane area from about 8 or 9 o'clock onwards. Showers will develop quite quickly in the Brisbane area from about 10 or 11 o'clock onwards, and by midnight we're expecting a rainy mess of storms to be moving through Brisbane and the Gold Coast. The strongest storms and the best lightning activity through tomorrow night, I'm talking late tomorrow night around midnight, will be further inland over the Granite Belt and the Darling Downs, so Toowoomba, Warwick, looking west, you're likely to see some good lightning activity out there. For Brisbane, it's more sort of going to be this rainy mess of thunderstorms with a few good cracks of lightning involved. Nothing too crazy is expected. You know, the sort of stuff that you get after the main thunderstorm event, that big line of squally winds and heavy rainfall that comes through that drops 25 millimeters in 30 minutes. That's what we're going to be talking about for tomorrow night and into early Monday morning. It's finally going to mean some good rainfall though for the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area. They're absolutely parched and they're in some serious rainfall deficiencies right now. We haven't actually looked at this map for a while, but this is a look at the drought monitoring map and the soil moisture anomalies here. Very much below average through the Gold Coast and the Brisbane city area. It's not looking good, especially for this time of the year. So hopefully this rainfall does come through and it provides them with some much needed heavier falls throughout the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area. In terms of the best rainfall accumulations, considering that this is going to be coming through from more of a bit of a rainfall based kind of weather event, the rainfall forecast is actually relatively accurate here. The best forecast models have the best rainfall occurring around the Brisbane city area and then north to about Caboolture and Bribie Island. Caboolture, sorry, I completely butchered the pronunciation there. The Gold Coast will still likely see 10 to 20 millimeters of rainfall, but the best falls will happen north of Brisbane and then towards the northwest of Brisbane as well. So again, north of Toowoomba, up around Kingaroy and inland from Maroochydore and Gympie, likely the best accumulations in this part of Queensland here. Very exciting stuff, that's for sure. Finally, some rainfall for the Brisbane city area. It's something that we've been hanging out for quite a while now, and we really hope that this eventuates. We will see some strong thunderstorm activity right through the night tomorrow. It's likely to be a long outbreak persisting for many hours, and there's going to be lots of severe thunderstorm activity, so buckle up. Tomorrow is going to be a big day, that's for sure. It's also the Bathurst 1000, so I'm going to have my hands tied, that's for sure, between the races at Mount Panorama and Bathurst, which the forecast is not actually looking that good for anymore. We've got some rainfall coming through, especially through the later parts of the day, but after about midday, we're going to see some rainfall begin to pick up there, so it'll be a slow finish. But yeah, I'm going to have my hands tied tomorrow between this thunderstorm situation in Queensland and the situation down on Mount Panorama. I'm hoping that we can see some forward action finally on the podium. Anyways, pushing things forward to Monday, you can see thunderstorms expected through parts of central Queensland. Once again, there'll be some very isolated thunderstorm activity in the Wide Bay Burnett forecast district, and we'll also likely see some thunderstorm activity south of Brisbane around the Gold Coast. I mentioned this yesterday, but Monday's outbreak does look to be one that's synonymous with some very strong thunderstorms that we can see around this time of the year. Once again, if it gets above 30 degrees in the Gold Coast and the Brisbane city area, we will likely see some strong thunderstorms. They'll be very isolated in nature, but considering our Cape Valley is once again pushing close to 2,000 here in the late morning and into the early afternoon, I would not be surprised if Monday saw one or two very strong thunderstorms in the Gold Coast area, especially through the Gold Coast hinterland. So Monday is going to be a day to watch very closely. We need to pay close attention to the forecast on Monday. Further inland though, we will see some weaker thunderstorm activity, particularly towards the west of Emerald and Claremont, and then right out towards the Northern Territory Queensland border around Mount Isa and Cloncurry. Not only are they expecting good thunderstorms out there tomorrow evening, but they're also expecting good thunderstorms out there Monday evening. It's just going to be a line of pulse thunderstorms that blow up, nothing severe, nothing too crazy. Thunderstorms expected to spill in towards north central Queensland as well right through Tuesday. You can see plenty of thunderstorm activity expected north of Tambo, and particularly around locations such as Winton, Longreach, Jericho, Claremont and Emerald for Tuesday. And we'll also likely see some good thunderstorm activity through parts of the Ogmore and Rockhampton area, particularly towards the northwest of Ogmore and Rockhampton. We'll see some strong thunderstorms in this pocket of Queensland as well. again, great Cape values in this part of Queensland for this time of the year especially, and some great Cape values as well pushing into the Mount Isa and the Cloncurry area. So strong thunderstorms also possible there on Tuesday, and good thunderstorms also expected in the Cape York Peninsula. It looks like Wednesday will bring another day of thunderstorm activity in towards the central parts of Queensland, north of Charleville, Roma, Augathella and Injune, particularly around Rolleston and Tambo. Strong thunderstorms possible there. And then finally on Thursday, the thunderstorms really do weaken out. We'll still see some thunderstorms in the southwest corner of Queensland, but there's going to be a lot fewer of them, and they're also likely to be a lot weaker. And we do see thunderstorms persisting right out to Friday the 17th of October into towards central Queensland, and potentially even Saturday the 18th of October into southeast Queensland once again, but the forecast does come down after about Wednesday this week, and that will bring the end to what will be about an 8 or 9 day outbreak of severe thunderstorms through Queensland once we get out to the 18th of October. Certainly a proper spring outbreak, and to be honest, it's looking like it's going to shape up to be a solid one as well. We're expecting widespread thunderstorm activity. It's definitely got off to a bit of a slow start. We did have plenty of thunderstorms yesterday, but we're not expecting action into southeast Queensland. Well, we're really not expecting much action in southeast Queensland, full stop, but the action there is only going to start tomorrow. But for the most part, it's an exciting outbreak, and it definitely is our first strong one of the year, so very, very exciting stuff, that's for sure. Showers are forecast to continue up in the northern parts of Queensland on the Cassowary coast, the Daintree rainforest, and into extreme far northern Queensland as well, mainly out of the east and the southeast. We are looking at those wind speeds right now. There's nothing too crazy, so we're not expecting any major uptick in rainfall there, not at least for another couple of weeks. And you can see if I just play this forecast modelling forward, there's just going to be on and off days of shower activity through the Cassowary coast and the Daintree rainforest. Again, nothing particularly crazy, nothing that's really catching my my sights right now. Monday and Tuesday could be marginally wetter around parts of the Cassowary coast and the Daintree rainforest, and I do think maybe Tuesday morning could be a bit of a day to watch. We'll also likely see an uptick of rainfall in Thursday and Friday of this coming week. That might also be a day to watch before conditions dry off a little bit after the 17th of October, which I believe is a Friday, or about the 18th of October actually, which is a Saturday. Anyways, looking more in towards the thunderstorm aspect of the forecast of the Northern Territory and Western Australia, it is just a very stormy 10-day period ahead. We've already got a strong thunderstorm this morning, well to the west of Darwin here, developing offshore from the northwestern parts of the Northern Territory, and thunderstorm activity spreading throughout the central parts of the Northern Territory as well, well to the south of Katherine and well to the north of Tennant Creek. We've had some strong thunderstorm activity through here in the last couple of days, and we're expecting this to continue throughout the course of the next 2 weeks or so. So thunderstorms expected to be very widespread through tonight. Tonight is expected to be one of the stormiest nights of the season so far for the Northern Territory, and a big spread of thunderstorm activity is expected right down into the northern parts of South Australia. In fact, even Cooper Pedy has a slim chance of thunderstorm activity on the forecast. Pushing things forward in towards Sunday, more widespread thunderstorm activity is possible through the Northern Territory. In fact, very expansive thunderstorm activity expected through the Northern Territory, and this will carry over into the Kimberley region of Western Australia. By Monday, we see these thunderstorms then begin to transform a little bit more towards the WA side of things. You can see them beginning to pull away from the Northern Territory a little bit. We'll still see some good thunderstorm activity on both Monday and Tuesday for the NT, but WA is going to have its time to shine after Tuesday, and then through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday especially, widespread thunderstorm activity forecast through Western Australia. Now we did towards the middle parts of last week have a few thunderstorms forecast dipping down into the Wheatbelt region of Western Australia, which I got very excited for personally because I'm looking forward to getting out there for a chase. They're now, they have now since left the forecast, and there's nothing in the way of thunderstorms on the forecast throughout the remainder of October, to be honest, throughout parts of the Wheatbelt, maybe something in towards the later parts of the month, but we're going to have to wait for this Madden-Julian oscillation to begin sending moisture down through Western Australia, which will happen sometime in early November, which will be very much enhanced by the negative Indian Ocean dipole effect rather. So when that does happen, we will likely see some thunderstorm activity finally through the Wheatbelt and the Goldfields region of Western Australia, but there's still nothing on the forecast at this point in time, unless you're talking about heat, in which there is plenty on the forecast. I mean, have a look at this. Daytime maximum temperatures now well and truly into 40-degree thresholds, and it's going to remain that way until at least April or even May of next year. It's going to be very, very hot from this point onwards, and you can see some very warm temperatures expected as we get out towards next weekend through South Australia. Mid-40s now possible through parts of the NT, WA and into South Australia. So again, getting very warm indeed. In terms of anything else on the forecast, you can see very wet across parts of northern Australia and also parts of central Australia. But apart from that, at least in the next 10 days or so, I'm not seeing anything that stands out to me too much. We will likely see an uptick of rainfall sometime into the later parts of October into the northeast of New South Wales. Major forecast modelling has been calling for that for a little bit of time at this point in time, so we're going to have to keep a very close eye on things there. And much later on into the forecast period, we may see some low pressure system into the Tasman Sea or even into the southern parts of the Coral Sea, which will bring that rainfall to the New South Wales northeast and maybe even in towards southeast Queensland as well. But that's looking very, very long range at this point in time. Anyways, that is going to have to do it for today's weather forecast update. I do hope you've enjoyed it or found it informative, and preferably both. And if you have, then please do consider subscribing and leave a like on the video while you're at it as well. Your support is massively appreciated. But that's going to do it for me today. Have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. A special shout out, of course, to the channel sponsors. The names are on screen right now. I'm going to get around to updating that finally today as well to welcome all of the new ones on. But that's going to be all for me today, and I'll catch you on the next storm. Goodbye.